Our true nature is love. We are endless joy, bliss, creativity, and freedom. What is the purpose of the human experience and this entire reality? It is to come into a state, a place of non-inherent limitation. And from that state of limitation, integrate that experience. There's actually like two broad ways we can say this. Can we wield an intention that is in alignment with the love of our true nature rather than fear?
Welcome to the Veil Between Lives. We're honored you're here as we explore consciousness, the unseen, and the mysteries beyond ordinary experience. I'm Susan, joined by my co-host today, Em. Hi, Em.
And a very warm welcome to our very special guest today, Christian Sundberg. Christian is a pre-birth experiencer and the author of A Walk in the Physical. Through his remarkable memories and teachings, he offers a unique perspective on the purpose of human life, our spiritual nature, and the transformative role of love in the journey of the soul.
Amen.
Welcome, Christian.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Yes. So nice to see you again, Christian. We're so looking forward to this conversation today. And for those who are not familiar with your work, I'm going to say that most of our audience most likely is. But for anybody who is not, can you take us back maybe to the beginning? What was happening in your life when these memories first started to emerge? And how did that set you on the path that you're walking today?
Sure. I'm laughing at the word the beginning because if we were really going to go to the beginning, we'd have to go way back. But in this human journey, the form it took is my body is 46 years old right now. And when I was 30, I took up a long-term meditation practice. And after a few months, I began to have out-of-body experiences and also had pre-birth memory return to me. So that means I am aware of the period of time before this incarnation and primarily before this incarnation and the incarnation just before this one, and some prior to that. But I'm aware of the life between lives state. I know why I came, what I'm here to do, and I remember choosing this life and why. So I'm passionate about sharing that because it's not specific to me. Like, I'm happy to share my experience, but I've found that what is far more important is to talk about who we really are, because what I'm talking about is not specific to me. I'm not special. We are all this larger reality. We are all multidimensional beings of love who have come to experience being human, and for often very personal and specific and unique reasons. But we are all not human, actually. So for me, that took the form of meditation that led to out-of-body experiences and pre-birth memory returning. And then I didn't share that for like 8 years because I'm a working professional. It's the kind of thing you just don't talk about if you want to, live a normal life kind of thing. And eventually I just realized, what am I afraid of? Like, I'm just going to share. So in the last 8 years now, I've come out of the closet quite a bit. I've shared many times, and I've met so many other pre-birth experiencers, actually. So now it's kind of a daily conversation, and it's not strange at all. And I've had a number of people validate details of my experiences to me that I never shared. And so for me, it's like, I don't have any doubt. Like, I don't have to surmise or wonder. This is real. So I am passionate about trying to bring visibility to that which is real. That's like the simplest way to put, what this has been about for me. What is actually going on?
Yeah.
I've asked myself that so many times. What is
Many
going
do. Many do.
I was also a working professional when there were many things exploding inside of me. And I had to go to somebody to ask if they could please put a cap on it because I didn't know how to cope. I didn't know how to balance
Hmm.
the inner world and the outer world, what was really going on. My perspective was changing and shifting. And yeah, so I'm so glad we're talking about this because if we've gone through it, there are others going through it.
Absolutely. The outer world is actually occurring in the inner world. What I mean is it, I know we're deeply rooted in the physical experience and we deeply associate into the body and into the thoughts and into the story and into the identity and the ego. That's like the name of the game. But that integration you're describing is very profound because your deeper self has always been deeper than the entire physical context that is arising. And so when you start getting that access at the personality level to the higher aspects of the self, it's quite pervasive. It's quite worldview altering, and that can be very threatening to the ego, which wants security within some kind of understanding or identity, and that can get thrown right out the window. So, yes, it can be quite disorienting.
Yeah.
But usually we don't experience that until we're ready, actually. Usually the larger part of us is like, okay, like let's integrate. Like we are here to integrate experience. That's like a simple way to summarize everything that we're doing here. Not only physical experience, but then the great joy actually of integrating the higher here in the denseness. That's like super exciting. Yes, it can be very high upheaval, you know, at the personality level, but we are here to integrate. And so how much cooler can it get, than to come this far into the vibration of density and then integrate that density and the higher simultaneously? That's a huge, powerful thing to do.
Yeah, and I guess that brings me to a question about remembering the truth of who you are, and being a human being. So knowing where you came from, being a human now, which is easier? Remembering where you came from, um, does that make it easier being a human?
Well, first, before I comment on that, what is easier? Actually, the thing that's easiest is existence itself without any requirement or demand or need or grasping any fear, without any fear. So I'm just lifting that up first because the question really is about how are we handling our experience and what's easier when the content is this or that. But ease is actually our true nature. like when we put everything down, all the thoughts, all the labels, all the resistance, all the fear, ease is like we are joy, we are peace. Peace is easy. Existing itself is easy. It's actually easier than breathing. Anyway, so that's just a quick comment when you use the word ease, because then, okay, so now is it easier to experience the world of form when we have some awareness of the higher? I would actually say there's quite a variable effect, but I think more often than not, no, it's actually not easier because the contrast becomes more stark. In other words, being asleep, it's like the old saying, ignorance is bliss,
Yes.
It's not exactly true, but the idea is though that it's easier to be asleep and to not have that contrast and to just um just kind of exist without resistance in whatever state. It's not actually easier. I'm just saying it feels that way, to the ego. Whereas being aware of the higher context, oh, that's actually it has a lot of implication and it has a lot of raw, visceral feeling for the self at the human level, because that higher nature is such high vibration. It's so free. It's so joyful. It's so loving. It's so powerful that the feeling of the density of the human experience in comparison seems even more nuts. Like it's so dense. It's so limiting. And in other words, it becomes more stark. So being human is like more stark. It can be more stark. It doesn't have to be, but it can be more stark when we have awareness of our higher nature. It's less simple, and we yearn for home. Like if you talk to near-death experiencers, pretty common for them to say, and they're not being negative or suicidal, but it's very common for them to say, I just want to go home. Like, why am I doing this? And that's a very, very natural side effect of knowing how wonderful home is and how close it is.
Well, I think it drives the question, what is my purpose here? It really drives that home. So having had a near-death experience and then coming back has you wondering just what's going on. um, the big why really shows up.
Yes. Yeah. So the big why. So, okay. So first of all, just a quick disclaimer that it's actually not possible to speak to this in words. Our higher nature or the big why, it's too transcendent, too big, too rich to quantify in simple language. So that's just a quick disclaimer because I'm about to use very simple language, and it's much bigger than that language. But so the big why is love. So what I mean is our true nature is love. We are endless joy, bliss, creativity, and freedom. And so what is the purpose of the human experience and this entire reality? It is to come into a place of non-inherent limitation. And from that state of limitation, integrate that experience. There's actually like two broad ways we can say this. One is integrate the experience. So come to terms with it. Like process it. Like really feel what it's like to be human. Really go to work on a Tuesday. And really pay your bills, really go to the bathroom, really have the migraine headaches, whatever it really, and then really kind of understand and assimilate perspectives. That's integration of experience. And the other broad category, which is actually ultimately synonymous, but we can think of it as a separate idea, that is, can we wield an intention that is in alignment with the love of our true nature rather than fear? And so the reason I like to say wield an intention, a quality of intention, is because intention is actually it's like the root movement of consciousness. Choice making is how that looks in a physical world. So you get to make choices. You get to decide to do this or this, help this person or not, go to work or not, rest or push yourself more, say something, don't say something. We have all these choices. The question here is less about exactly what choice we make, actually, and it's more about the real why behind your making, why are you making the choices you're making? And when we can actually choose things, anything, small or large, from love, which means so many things: kindness, compassion, courage, ownership, strength, perseverance, all the things, all the virtues, when we can choose in alignment with that rather than fear meaning rejection, smallness, ego, judgment, protection, anger, shame, all the things that we get stuck in. That actualizes it, like brings our true nature down into this vibration, and that like automatically, it's like lifting the weight of the physical. So those are two ways to describe this one word. We're here to be love. We're here to actualize love, choose love, and to know ourselves deeply through this experience, and in so doing, become more deeply loving in all of the things that love means.
I'm I'm kind of curious. It sounds so simple, right? What
Yeah.
you just said, it sounds so simple and so beautiful, and it seems that us as human beings make things really complicated. I'm wondering if you
Quick
have
comment,
any
real quick. I don't want to interrupt
idea.
you, but you say it sounds so
Yeah.
simply, but there's a universe that's been here for 15 billion years,
Yeah.
and the human race has gone on for thousands of years, and look at the mess. So why? Well, because it's not simple, actually. And the reason it's not simple is only because the denseness is so high, the limitation is so high, the pain can be so great that what we're talking about is a growth of the being. We're not talking about just learning new ideas or instituting new governments or something. No, we're talking about actually growing up in a context of extreme limitation. And so that's not simple, actually, just because the density is so high. Anyway, sorry to interrupt you.
No, but you make a perfect point, and part of my question was, it seems like we are making this more difficult for ourselves, and I'm wondering if you have a perspective on, is there a meaning behind that? Or I don't know, how do we unpack that? I
Mhm.
feel like we get in our own way.
We definitely get in our own way. In fact, okay, so again, this might sound like an oversimplification, but anytime we get stuck or tangled over decades or lifetimes or even a short period of time, if we look closely, we can find this following thing is true. We the only thing that's hard is our own fear, which means our own yet involvedness. It means our own rejection. It means our own unwillingness to face and feel and process the darkest crap that has ever happened to us. It's our own, and I'm not saying it's easy to do that. I'm just pointing out, do we make it harder than we need to? Anytime we choose fear, we are making it harder than we need to. Anytime. And this world, not to be like too categorical, but there's a lot of fear-based decision making happening all over the place. All over, it's ubiquitous. Like our society has actually normalized fear-based patterns in many different layers, us versus them thinking all over the place. And so that by natural law will make it more challenging for us than it has to be. So we could think of it as like, so what are we here to do is untangle that and make it more loving and easy, actually, like for each other and for ourselves. And so ironically, the hardest thing to do is to face our fear, process our deepest crap. But that is also the most powerful thing we can do, because when we actually do that, we become free. What can challenge us if we're not afraid? Nothing. Like what will bring you down? Now, that's okay if we recognize, oh, I still have a lot of fear. I have a lot of fear. Like I came here to process fear. I'm not making light of it, but I'm just pointing out though that we always have the opportunity to do that. So do we make it more difficult for ourselves? Yeah. Why do we choose fear 100 times and on the 101st decide to do something else? Well, because it hurts. And eventually we're like, I'm sick of hurting. I'm sick of hurting others and getting the feedback that sucks from them. I'm sick of hurting myself. I'm sick of avoiding like whatever. I'm sick of putting off the challenge of walking away from this addiction or this challenging, maybe a poisonous relationship, maybe, or I'm sick of not taking responsibility for my health or whatever it is, whatever thing that we've been resisting. Eventually, it's the pain actually that eventually compels us to say, okay, I'm broken. I've had enough. I'm going to change. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because I look at my life in almost in like chapters where, you just get to a point where there's been so much pain that you have to have a paradigm shift, right? It's almost, I thought it was almost like a survival instinct at first.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but it really was just a massive growth period where I just felt like I was being pulled through a knothole.
Yeah. Yeah. Eventually, sometimes growth means eventually your entire paradigm has to be challenged. So I went through this in a simple, specific way that I'll just lift up because it's just interesting that I think a lot of us in this community who are like experiencing something and then going, "What the heck? How do I how do I process this?" We experienced this. My belief system became deeply challenged. So I was raised Lutheran. So I was very committed to my Christian faith in the Lutheran Protestant tradition from, between childhood and 30. In fact, I was on the church council. I taught confirmation class for a number of years. I was like an assistant minister for 20 years at my church. I was like the youngest ordained assistant minister they'd ever had. I almost went to seminary. Like I was committed to this faith. And so when I went through my awakening, it was not subtle. And it was very, very challenging because I suddenly had to admit, oh, I know nothing. Like I don't have the control I thought I did when I was hiding behind these beliefs. I don't understand. And so there is this I'm going to use a dramatic word here, purifying hellfire. It's just being dramatic. But there's this purifying fire that you go through when you throw up your hands and let your paradigm crumble. And it can be the most shocking, but also the most profoundly liberating thing you go through. So like, now I've done lots of sharing, but I never once thought, oh, I'll just like go find this new thing. No, I went through intense personal destruction, I would even say, not only through my belief system, but through many illnesses I went through, chronic illnesses, and some other great challenges, an incredible amount of surrender. And that is very paradigm disassembling. And so that is like actually, that is like that. It's a deep form of how we truly grow and integrate experience, because the ego loves protection through some paradigm. It just loves it. We want to believe this thing, and now I feel better because I believe this thing. Once you realize you're wrong, and reality is way, way bigger than your small, like the belief system you were taught since you were a baby on Earth, or what your parents taught you. Oh my, it's you have to accept a hell of a lot of fear. You realize, oh, I'm terrified. Like, I remember one time, I've told this story before, and it's very simple, but to me, this just struck me as a simple example of this. One time, I remember early in my awakening, I was standing at my toilet urinating, and that was all I was doing is peeing, and I realized I was afraid. And it's a very simple, subtle thing in my body. And why was I afraid? Because just the sensation, like I couldn't actually, like I could stop urinating if I wanted, but I didn't have control over the simple sensation. Like, how deep is that fear that we don't even have control in the way the body feels or the operations of the body? And so since then, I have really worked in my own experience. That's a big part of my journey, actually, is experiencing limitation, weakness, and pain in the body and allowing it. And allowing the rigor of it and allowing myself to feel it and release it. And that's a very humbling process. So anyway, I'm just lifting up the value and the power of that. And many people who go through spiritual awakenings experience some color of that, some version of that. And the people around them may not understand. They're just not going to get it. And I really, as another layer of this for me, I was stunned at how the relationships in my immediate life were affected.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing when you show up and say, oh, you know what? We are unconditionally loved. Unconditionally. Like, there's nothing you can do wrong, in the sense that you can never escape this love. You can never really F it up. Like, you are completely, totally loved. You don't have to be afraid of anything. It's amazing when you show up and say you don't have to be afraid of anything, how someone who believes in judgment or hellfire, how threatening that is. You know, I was surprised. You know, there were a lot of religious people in my life who rejected it, and I had always been the Christian guy. So I was surprised. It was like I showed up and I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, God is real, but it's way bigger. He's way bigger and way more loving and way more free. And oh my gosh, we don't have anything to fear, guys. And everyone's like, whoa, no, no, we don't want that. You know, and I'm like, really?
And then you go one step further and said, and by the way, you're a fraction of that.
Yes, and by the way, you're a piece of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I'll just lift up a moment that reminds me of, just because this is interesting. So I won't go too much into depth on this, but my wife's parents are very conservatively minded. They have a very firm religious belief, which I respect. But this was a big threat to them. It's still, and actually today, it's still an issue for our family, is a very significant challenge for them. They have experienced a lot of personal pain because what I share is not in alignment with their belief system. And so there was a moment when they came over early in my awakening in an intervention, actually, formally sat down with the Bible in hand and tried to save my soul. I mean, that was the way they put it. And that, what you just said there, is the crux in many Christian traditions of where it turns to heresy, this idea that we are actually a part of God. Because as soon as you say that, it sounds like the Satan story. You know, Satan claiming, I am God. That's like the original sin, right? That's the bad thing. That's the thing you do not do, right? Well, that theology is actually incorrect, because we are tiny pieces of the whole. We are parts of God, and also individuated. We are drops in the ocean. We are the whole ocean, and yet just this drop. Like, it's just true. It's real. So I don't know what to tell you. Like, when someone immediately said, my father-in-law said, well, there it is. Like, you just named the heresy. You just named your error. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's actually true.
Yeah.
Ah, I love that story. Thank you. I'm really curious with your experience and then the people around you not understanding, where you were coming from, right? Like, how did you integrate? Like, what steps did you take? Where did you go? Um, like, how did you find a sense of normalcy and belonging within all of that when this was happening?
That's a great question. Well, at first, I tried to remain as quiet as I could. The first few years, it was like, don't talk about it. And the best way was just to not rock the boat. Eventually, I realized, oh no, I'm out of the box. There's no box left. The box doesn't exist. And once you step out of the box, you can't go back in the box. Like, and I mean this in multiple ways. Like if you have like a Kundalini awakening, for example, and your energy body actually shifts to allow the energy to flow. I'm not an expert at this. I'm just saying that I know that once that is opened, oh, no, you don't put that back in. Or once your belief system, once you actually allow yourself to consider how small human belief systems can be and you step out, oh no, you can't actually go all the way back in, you know? Or once you have an out of body experience for real, and then you come back to the human experience and you're like, this is not even real. This is not even like you can't put that back. So for me, the way it took it practically speaking was, well, first of all, I did lots of meditation because I found a lot of peace in myself, but I did find community in limited fashion locally. I joined a small group that was spiritually minded. And I found a lot of comfort there. I even went to an alternative medicine practitioner. I remember because I could feel energy and I didn't know what it was. And I realized working with her that, oh my gosh, I'm actually feeling energy. This makes so much sense. Finally, this like explains so many things. And I think for me personally, what was most helpful actually was attending a mediumship circle. And the reason that was helpful for me is not because of the content that came out of it. That was quite secondary for me. The reason it was so helpful for me was the energy. Because when I was in a group of people who actually could put their crap down and be present and be without fear and feel love and be open with each other, I physically felt it. I felt relieved. I felt rejuvenated. And then we would have validating experiences, which were nice, but I didn't need that. Like we would have multiple people get the same information and spit it out at the same time. And it's like, oh my gosh, everyone thinks that's really neat. I'm not surprised by that anymore. Like it's just how it is. we're a part of the consciousness network. But for me, that was really helpful to actually like have a place every week where I could go and experience that energy. And then eventually, once I started sharing publicly about 8 or so years ago, as soon as I started sharing, my community immediately opened up quite a bit because I realized there were many, many people out there who are experiencing something similar. And the energetic connections, the friendships I've made, the relationships, even if I've never physically met these people, it doesn't matter. Distance isn't even real. So I have found community in those relationships. Like I've found a few people that I know are a part of my quote unquote soul tribe, just people I really know at the soul level. And the joy and comfort you get with just one of those relationships, that's really helpful. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I'm always telling clients, find your tribe because I think it's so important. Find those connections and that sense of belonging where you feel seen and heard without the fear of judgment. So important.
One other quick comment there. So I won't go into this too much, but I'll just say that this was also very frictional for my wife. And so I also have a great appreciation, at the time anyway. So I have appreciation for how this can cause friction in one's immediate relationships. Just a quick comment there. So not pushing for one direction or another if anyone is making a decision about staying or leaving or something in a relationship, but I just want to lift up one idea. If you actually arrive with love, sincerity, like for real, you don't actually need them to change, really. But meanwhile, they will sense it. And so it's like love is like this eroding force, actually. It's like rain on soft mortar or something, sandy mortar, and it will just very gently, because their soul also wants love. Like we're all here looking for that connection and that love. And so I'm simply saying that if we truly release resistance and arrive in our lives, miracles can happen. Upset could happen, and sometimes both. And that's how it was for me. There was great friction, but also I feel some miraculous healing also took place. So just a comment there that like there's actually a great power to arrive to your immediate life with love, authenticity, sincerity, genuineness. You don't need to be right. You don't need even to have them understand. That's okay. But if you love them and love yourself and love life, meet life, be alive,
Yeah.
they can't help but feel, oh, I am that too. Yeah. And they might
Yeah.
not know consciously what happens, but it kind of picks at the little crevices.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
So I'm wondering, how does love experienced beyond the physical differ from what we commonly call love here on
Oh
Earth?
my.
Yeah.
uh the brightness of the sun compared to a candle. Like I don't know what else to say. We are under so much limitation here that it acts as a veiling. So part of the limitation set that we agree to experience in the physical is what I call a veiling, which just means a limitation in consciousness where we don't remember our true nature. And that effectively seems, very deeply seems, to obscure us from our higher nature, which is the name of the game. But that means that practically speaking, on the human level, it's like we don't, it's almost like we don't experience love. I mean, we do experience love, but in comparison to the richness, breadth, depth, volume, I don't know what words to use for size and intensity of the love that we can experience when we're not so limited. Oh, it's it's night and day. It'd be like starlight compared to the sun in daytime. Like the amount of love we can experience is so big. Now, by the way, though, that doesn't mean, oh, you'll never experience that powerful love while you're human. It doesn't mean that either, because importantly, we aren't actually stuck here. It's just that this limitation set is arriving in us. So the metaphor I like to use is you're in a movie theater, like watching a movie, and you might get lost in the movie, but you're actually still in the theater. So you can get really, really lost for 85 years, in the movie, but you're actually still in the theater. And in the theater, you can feel that love. Like you were never actually in the movie anyway. So I'm just lifting that up because we always have the ability to let go and to touch it and taste it. And by the way, when we do that, it's like the most tasty thing. So like in meditation, you might meditate for an hour a day, every day for 3 months, and all of a sudden, this peace, this joy just arises for like a second. And when it does, it's like, oh my gosh, the thing I've been seeking my entire life. And the ego wants to grab right onto it because it's like the thing that you've, like all the drugs, all the pursuing of relationship or stimulation, all the things we seek to try to fill that hole while we're physical. It's like we finally touch the thing we were actually looking for. And when we do, it's like, oh my gosh, that's what I want. And the ego wants to grab onto it and secure it. It wants to secure it. It's not something you secure with the ego. That's not how it works. But anyway, I'm just lifting up, though, that it is possible to feel it here. That higher love can be felt here. A lot of spiritually transformative experiences or NDEs describe that. And then their life is changed.
Yeah.
And then they're like, what? How? What? That is so big. It's so huge compared to what we're experiencing here. What the heck?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And finding the language for that is complex, right? That was one of the things that I have had the most difficulty with.
There's no language actually for it. Language is form. And what we're talking about is something that transcends form and gives rise to form. So you can't actually go to the lower dimension and use lower dimensional language to describe it. And so this is one of the reasons why. So when I wrote A Walk in the Physical, I felt these chunks coming to me that I just had to write down. And it took 6 years, like one chunk at a time. Like I don't really feel like I wrote the book. I just feel like I was like a participant. My brain was like available, and I like did this. I did this actualization thing. That's all. But when I first sat down to do that, to actualize it, I was like, there are no words. What do you mean? Like I can't write that down. How do I write that down? And so I really tried to be discerning and concise, and over 6 years, and I carefully thought about every word. And now that is actually, I feel the power of that book is that it has a richness that tries to speak to a nonlinear thing with language. And it's even structured in a nonlinear way. The book is even structured in a nonlinear way because that's how spiritual exploration is often explored or experienced. And so, yeah, there's no way to fit that higher into the lower, but that is my passion. Like, I want to try to do that, but we've got like 5 words. Like, that's how I feel. We have like 5 words. We have like love, and we have like these. I'm just being a little facetious. I'm just saying, like, we have just a handful of words, and then how do you say it?
Yeah.
No, you can't just say words and think you know what's going on. Okay, so but then one other thing here that I found that's so cool, and I think spiritually aware people will know what I'm talking about. We don't have to use only words. So what I mean is we can actually connect with each other energetically. And that is, I feel, one of the actual works that's happening through podcasts like this. That's why I do this. It's not just to repeat a set of words that people have heard 100 times. It's that I try to connect with the energy of the host or hosts. I feel your 2 colors, for example, and I feel like what's going on a little bit. And I try to just arrive to that. And then there's a resonance, and that resonance creates an energetic force or something like a circuit. And that, whether people are aware of it or not, can be felt by the listener. And that has its own magic, its own power. It does its own work. It has its own energy to it. And so I'm just saying that because, like, that's actually the direction we're moving. We're moving away from words. We're moving towards connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel that so deeply
Me
too.
too. Wow.
So again, just having these discussions and being willing to open up and share them is very powerful and meaningful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Energetically, do you feel that things are shifting? I'm just curious on your perspective.
Yes, I
Because I
do.
know a lot of people are talking about it, but what's your perspective on what's going on with us as a human race energetically? And what can you say?
Yeah, we're waking up.
Yeah.
The energy is very tumultuous right now, but it's the tumultuous. I've used this metaphor before, but it's like the closest thing I can think of for the energy. It's like, okay, let's say before you clean your house, everything looks like it's in order. And then you decide one day, oh man, I haven't cleaned out my basement in like 30 years. So you go down there and you pull out all the crap. Well, guess what? Your house looks like a freaking mess for a bit. And there's like so much crap in the basement. So the human race has a lot of crap in the basement. So we are pulling up a lot of fear, a lot of patterns like chauvinism and us versus them thinking and judgment and smallness and powerlessness. I mean, like, the amount of powerlessness on this world is insane. It's so ludicrous. So we are basically taking that on the surface and looking at the madness. And so then people see the surface and they say, oh, the political situation is a mess. Yeah. it's it's very basic. It's very low vibration. But that's because our hundreds of millions of people are in that vibration. Hundreds of millions of people resonate with these very simple, crude ideas. So that's what we get to see now, And so, but there is this really important process happening in consciousness. It's not just about the effect you see right now. The actual growth is in consciousness. The actual change is in consciousness. It's not actually in form. Consciousness precedes form. So we have to grow up first. And so anytime we face our own fear and choose love and joy and evolve, anytime, we are actually helping the entire collective consciousness to heal, not just indirectly, but directly, because we are a part of it. We're like a piece of that pond. And so we are helping the world to awaken. And the more that we each individually do it and do things like this, where we have this energy that we share and then people tap into it themselves, that changes the pitch. And that helps the untangling. Will the untangling be messy? Oh, yes. Yes, because we have a very ludicrous amount of fear in the collective consciousness. But are we moving towards integration? We are. Absolutely.
Oh, well said.
Yeah, and fear is the block to love's awareness.
Yes.
Mhm.
And we have a lot of it. And that's
do.
okay. Like, I'm not saying we even need to like say, oh, it's not even there. No, look at it.
Yep.
It's hard. Like,
Oh,
look at it.
yeah.
Like, we
Yeah.
can't process it if we're not aware. Like, awareness itself actually begins to unprocess it. Now, like, I mean, to untangle it, to process it and untangle it. Just being aware, just seeing, just allowing ourselves to feel, just taking ownership in our own lives. And by the way, this is about quality, not scope, not size. So a lot of people get really concerned because they see, oh, all these people are making this fear-based decision. Oh, the government is so big and powerful. Oh, like all the other humans have the power. I'm just this one. Okay. No, consciousness made the physical reality. The whole simulation was made by you and those connected to you. It's a powerful force. It made the rules. It made the physics. Okay. So when consciousness shifts, things happen. And consciousness shifting is about quality, not just about size. So you can do big things. That's great. Reach 1 million people if you can. Great. Do it. But if you are by yourself in your bedroom and you face your own pain, you accept this moment. You look at the sunlight coming in your window and feel it. You are helping the world. The world is not even fundamentally real anyway. Like, size isn't even fundamentally real. What's real is you. At your consciousness, my consciousness, the consciousness of everybody else participating. And so when consciousness shifts, the world will shift.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have these discussions pretty frequently with others about this very thing. The important thing is not worrying about what everybody else is doing, but taking responsibility for our own thoughts.
Yes, our own experience.
Yes.
Thoughts are a very important prevailing part of it, but it's our whole experience. What are you experiencing? And if you say, man, I'm miserable. Okay, that's good. Why? Like, go look. Well, I can't look. It's too scary. It's too terrible. Look at these terrible circumstances. Look at this relationship I can't get out of. Look at, I don't have any money. I don't have any power. I have a disease. That's okay. That's okay. Go look at it. Like, I'm just saying, like, we apply all the meaning to our lives, actually. We have the power in any moment to choose something new. So I'm not saying that's easy, but absolutely we have the power to choose what to do with what is arising now. And we have agency. Like, if there's like one message that I want to lift up, like, I feel so called to this message. We have agency. You have agency. I don't care how long the tangles have existed, how much pain there is, you have agency. The reality cannot help but listen to you. So what are you choosing? What meaning are you applying? What do you think about yourself? What pain will you allow yourself to release and feel? Can you mourn? Can you let yourself mourn if you need to mourn? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, all these questions about how you hold your experience, that's what matters.
So true. I'm curious if, in your opinion, your experience, what you've noticed, does our consciousness have an opportunity to play around in other forms, like as other species, other planets? Like, yeah.
Yes. Yes, for
Yes.
sure.
And how might that, with any knowledge that you have about this, how might that be different than being in the human form?
Well, that's an extremely huge question because form can vary significantly. And so the nature of experience can vary significantly. So think of consciousness as being basically unlimited, incredibly unlimited in what it can perceive, what it can experience, what it can feel. Okay, but then you put a unique limitation set on it. So the human experience is like a very, 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 very unique, dense limitation set. But it's also very unique and precious in certain ways. There's a unique cognitive environment. Humans are very biological, pretty low density planet. I mean high density, low vibration planet, but a lot of cognitive room, to decide, to think, to wonder, to intellectualize, to imagine, versus like a dog who is having a physical experience, is veiled to a different type of veiling, but is very much physical, but doesn't have the same cognitive space, but is very present. Dogs are very, very present. They're not in a state of thoughtful rejection. They're just here now. So their experience is different. Can we experience being dog? Of course, yes. like people will sometimes ask, well, do animals have a soul? Well, I mean, souls have humans, or souls have animals. Souls have human experiences, or souls have animal experiences, or souls have other experiences. If you really want to go further down that rabbit hole, I know this sounds very strange. I'm about to say something super strange, but you can actually experience being rock.
Yes.
You can be an inanimate form. You can be the vibration of a thing that doesn't have a decision space in the same way, but it has a quality. It has a nature, you know. Ra in the Law of One series talks about this as first density consciousness, and then second density is like animals. So first density is like minerals, and second density is like animals, and third density is like humans, and they're trying to evolve to fifth. Anyway, I'm not saying I know about all that or I resonate with all of that, but I'm just saying that consciousness can experience a huge variety of form, and that's just in our universe. Okay?
Yeah.
Right.
So, and our universe has like its own rules. So it'd be like if you logged into a video game, and in that video game, you had hundreds of billions of things you could play, but there's entire other video games.
Yeah.
Like, that's how much variety there is available to us. Being human, I will lift up, is incredibly precious. It is so unique and so rare, especially now during the awakening. In my pre-birth experience, I remember feeling like I'd won the lottery. Like, all that is
Oh,
was giving me the chance to play a human. It was like being handed $1 million lottery ticket. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I get to play a human out of all the trillions and trillions. I mean, the quantity of consciousness is just beyond fathoming, understanding, or perceiving. And Earth only has so many slots. And in order to play a human, you have to have a certain level of proficiency. You know, it's so dense, it's so hard. Can be so hard, doesn't have to be hard, but it can be so hard that you got to be pretty darn skilled to play a human. You can't, you know, you gotta really, you know, you gotta get in there. So yeah, there are many types of experiences. There are other planets. There are other civilizations that are not low consciousness as humans are right now, that are higher vibration, not the same level of density. Because the collective consciousness has a vibration, the biology allows a certain vibration, the world itself has a pattern and a vibration, and there are worlds that are not that. I have one memory of one previous physical experience where I was a non-human intelligent person. I'm not going to go too much into that, but I just know that that happens. That's real. So yes, short answer to your question is yes. I also remember being a bird. I've shared this before. I remember being a migrating bird, and that was very spiritual, a very rigorous, very physically rigorous, demanding experience, but very spiritual, not at all human-like in decision space. Very different. Simple perceptions, though. Like I know this sounds wild. This is wild, but I remember perceiving if I leave what we would call the flock, you know, the group, I will die. Like it'll be the end. It'll just be the end. Like it was just a simple knowing. It was like I'll be dead if I leave the group. So the compulsion to stay with the group was life and death. But also it was like high stress, but also no stress. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
I often wonder if, flying dreams are kind of a remnant of that. I mean, I know a lot of people have a lot of theories about, flying dreams and flying dreams and things like that, but I've always been curious about that. I've always felt like a connection to birds, and I've always had those flying dreams and wondered if they were somewhat
Yeah,
connected.
I think it's probably more likely that the reason we have flying dreams so commonly is because in the astral we move by thought. So we visit the astral all the time, and we have long experiences. I'm using the term astral for the thought responsive reality system that precedes our own. That is huge, huge. And in that, movement is accomplished by intention. You want to go somewhere, you go. You want to move, you just move. It's very free. And we love that. We love the freedom of it is such a joy. The freedom of that type of motion. And so one of the main things we experience as human that is non-native is the limitation of being separate and not being able to move. like in our world, if you want to go somewhere, you have to like move your body through every intermittent space.
Mm.
Like that's crazy. Like if I want to fly to California, I have to like get on a plane and it has to push me through the air for thousands of miles. Like it's so crude. Like that's not native to the spirit. So I think we dream about it because we miss that level of freedom.
Interesting. We haven't talked about time.
Yeah.
which I'd like to kind of touch on because, um, having been in a timeless state, I just want to get your thoughts on that. Yeah.
We precede linear time as we know it. Linear time is an invention. It is a sequence of experience. It's not a fundamental thing. It's a way of sequencing experience in a meaningfully rigid fashion. It's all happening in the one now, but there's also a layer of sequence that in between that I might call soul time, which is the natural time of evolution. So there is a movement from less evolved to more evolved states of being. And that precedes linear time, but is also a form of sequence that is very natural. But that is all occurring within the one now. So from the perspective of linear time, it's quite impossible to speak to because we're like really trying to understand from the non-native limitation set of linear time. We experience A to B, so we want everything to fit into A to B. No. Yeah, we are not limited in that way, fundamentally.
Yeah. So, in my experience outside of my body, has always been, that timeless experience. But during my NDE, I was able to enter two different life experiences. So it was almost like grains of sand kind of slipping through like a one of the
Hourglass, yeah.
timers. Yeah. And I felt as if I slipped into one life and then came back into my body, but slipped into another body of a different life.
I know it doesn't sound normal, but it is because all is
Right.
happening within the one now. It's all a part of you.
Exactly. It clearly it changed my perception of time and my experience with time and also with manifestation. Right? There were a whole lot of things shifting after that experience, but I'm
That's
curious
awesome.
because when you go through these pre-birth phases or these experiences, it kind of reminds me of that, kind of going
Yeah,
beyond the time, beyond the physical, beyond, um, yeah, this experience that we call now.
yeah. Well, it's not going beyond now, technically,
It's all
because it's
happening
all
now.
actually in the now, but it is going
Yeah.
beyond the linear now because so my pre-birth experience has always been very difficult to speak to because of this, because it has sequence, very natural sequence, but it happens all at once. It's all now. And so my pre-birth experience feels to me both like 3 million years ago
Hmm.
and also like it's alive right now. Like it's happening right now. It didn't stop happening, something like that. Even though it also feels ridiculously ancient.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know how to describe that. But yeah, I mean, and that is confusing to the local self. But it's quite natural when you experience it. And so when we let go, we're able to kind of like tap into that in a very natural way.
Yeah. I love this stuff.
Mhm. Do you think there's a connection between spirituality and curiosity?
Okay, so what is the soul doing? It's evolving through the integration of experience, which means operating from the limited perspective back out. And so when we do that from the limited perspective back out, we want to learn, we want to discover, we want to figure it out. We want to taste it. We want to understand. That is the journey. That is the learning, is going from the limited back out to the fullness of knowing. And the learning we're doing is experiential learning. You see, it's not just intellectual learning. So we're curious because that is a very natural, that's like, we could even call curiosity uh, a native quality of the soul. I guess I would be careful with the words, but it's native to the soul. Like, in other words, like I heard somebody say one time, we're here simply because we're curious. And I agree with that, actually. Like the entire physical experience, what the heck is it, man? It's like an incredible limitation set. How can you actually know what it's like unless you go and be it?
Yeah.
You got to go taste it. You got to go actually be it. Now, in the non-physical, you can get kind of close to Earth and you can kind of look down, so to speak, and say, okay, I kind of get it. I kind of watch the movie from afar, but no, you don't actually get it unless you go and have the firsthand experience. And so curiosity is one of the qualities, because the spirit is completely immortal and it can't be harmed. It is creative. Like you could say creativity. Okay, our joyful nature, our loving nature is creative. It churns with creativity. And so it loves, there's this beautiful Seth quote that comes to mind. I'm not going to say this exactly right, but it's something like, consciousness rejoices in creativity and sensation. Until you understand this, you will not understand who you are.
Mm, beautiful.
So that to me is beautiful, because that speaks to even curiosity. So why do we come? What is it like to be a corn stalk? I mean, you can't know unless you go do it. And then once you did it, now you know. Now you've grown. Your experiential vocabulary has deepened, you see. And so we are, through curiosity, expanding our experiential capacity. And in a human context, that means intellectual. And for me, that's especially true. Like I have historically been a very intellectual person. In fact, I relied on it way too much up until the age of 30. Once I went through my awakening, I realized, oh no, my intellectual knowing means about squat. I can't define myself by it. It is not my value. Like I am not my thinking mind. My intellect is not actually that useful. It's useful, but it's actually not that important. But what is super cool about it and super useful about it is, through the human intellect, curiosity can be very uniquely and beautifully satisfied and explored in new ways. In fact, I know this sounds like a tangent, but I just have to say this. This is so cool. One time I had a meditation and I had this knowing. I don't think I've ever shared this before, but it sounds simple. But it was this profound knowing that if you lived an entire lifetime and you had just one unique thought, and what I mean is, from a unique perspective, had a thought, even one, your entire life would have been worth it, because you would have added that to all that is. You are a part of all that is. So you could say all that is curious. And you are the way through which it is exploring curiosity. And what does that mean in the human context? It can mean a lot of thinking, a lot of wondering. I get a lot of people that reach out to me with intellectual questions, and I love it. I love it because I love the bridge from the locally conditioned thinking mind, which is trying to think its way back out. And actually you can't all the way, because thought form is limited. You won't be able to do it. But I love walking that path. I love reaching the limitations of intellect and letting go into the being that is far larger than intellect, but also exploring the limitations of intellect and using it. Like, just as for instance, okay, so we're here to be joyful and to experience things that bring us joy. So this is just a simple thing for me as a human. I love strategy games. And there's a tabletop war game that I love to play called Warhammer 40,000. And you paint these little models, and it's very expensive. But you paint these little models, and I collect them over like a lifetime. And then you go to the gaming store, and you set up on a 6-foot table your little painted miniatures. And the other guy brings his little painted miniatures to the other person. And then you roll a ton of dice, and you play a strategy game. It takes about 4 hours. And I love the math. I love understanding rule sets. In fact, one of my favorite things to do is, if someone hands me a big fat rule book for a game, I love that. Like, I love getting into a system and trying to understand, what are the limitations of this system? How do things interact in this system? What interaction does this system allow? What does it not allow? How can I push the boundaries of the system just for fun or whatever? Like, not to try to achieve anything, but I just like understanding systems. And I like games that have dice rolls because I like math. I like numbers. Numbers are such pure logic. I love numbers. So I love going and playing a game where I'm rolling dice, and then the physical reality returns a result to me that I don't know what it's going to be. I rolled a 3. Oh, great. A 3. What does a 3 mean? That's fun. It's fun to explore. So anyway, I'm just saying that is part of the joy of the human experience, is intellectual curiosity. We experience all these different systems and we get to play in them. Like, it's all a big play.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
And it's fun to play in the things that we like to play in and that bring us joy. And by the way, this is like, you're allowed to embrace the things that do bring you joy, even if it doesn't make sense to other people. So like I'm not afraid to say I'm a nerd, and I like painting miniatures, and I like rolling dice, and I like playing games if I have time. I mean, my time is quite full, so maybe not as often as I would like, but I love that. And I am present in it. And when I go to the local gaming store and set up a bunch of miniatures and roll dice for 4 hours, I actually can tell I have accomplished something spiritual. No one would maybe understand it in that way. What did we do? We moved around some army men. We rolled dice. But I enjoyed it. I explored something through it. I experienced a perspective. I used my imagination on the tabletop, like role-playing games. I've done a lot of Dungeons and Dragons in my past. I love the drama of moments. I love the systems that give rise to drama of moments. And actually, what is that like? In a fractal way, the physical universe. We've got a rule set, and then we go into the rules, and then we see what we can do. We go into the limitations, and then now what are we going to choose? It's raining today. Now what do I do? Like that is what we do. We go into these situations and explore and learn more about ourselves through them, actually. It's actually one of the reasons I like Dungeons and Dragons. Players would explore aspects of who they were through their characters. I love that. I love being a part of that. That's kind of what we're doing here as humans. We're not actually human, but we're exploring, who am I? How do I react when someone treats me in this certain way? How do I react when I'm sick? Can I choose the things that I love, even if it doesn't make sense to others? Whatever.
Yeah. Some people call this a game, the life that we're living as a human. How do you feel about that statement?
It's a good metaphor. It's a real experience of a not fundamentally real simulation.
I love that.
Wow.
So much.
Yeah.
It's exactly how I feel about life.
Yeah. So people will say because as soon as somebody says it's a dream or a game, there can immediately be this assumption of dismissiveness. I don't think that's appropriate, actually, because guess what? You're having an experience. And are you valuable? Yes, you are. You bet your butt you're valuable. You're a piece of God, so to speak. You're having an experience. You are the source having an experience. Is that important? Oh, yes. Oh, yes, that's important. Is the form fundamentally real? No, actually. Did we lose ourselves in the forest for the trees? Yes, we did. That's what happened on Earth and in this universe at large, is we pushed the envelope. We said, what if we get even more veiled? What if we get even more separate? What if we become as separate as we possibly can? What then, man? That's like what this universe is. So, but is it fundamentally real? No, you are still spirit. You are always spirit. You can't not be spirit. You are connected to all things. And you're just experiencing this effectively dream, but it is a real experience of that dream. Kind of like at night, if you go to sleep and you have a dream, I've heard non-duality teachers say you never experienced the dream. I actually don't agree with that. I think you did experience dreaming. It's okay to say the dream wasn't real. And it's okay to say when physical life is over, the physical reality wasn't actually real. But did you have the experience of the physical world? Yes, you did. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I really like the way you put that.
Too. Yeah.
I'm going to have a good think on that one.
Yeah.
Get to know myself a little better.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
If someone listening today remembers only one thing about who they truly are as a soul, what would you hope that would be?
I would hope that would be the fact, even if this isn't understood or felt, the fact that you have nothing to fear. There is absolutely nothing we truly have to fear. And that is a tall statement in this world, but it is true. That is the most important thing we can remind each other. And when we're in moments of fear, we can see those moments clearly to challenge that. Can I accept this? That's okay. You are a multidimensional being of love. I know the body can be harmed and you can experience a crap load of pain in this world. But can you truly be harmed? No. Can you die? No. There's no death. There's no such thing as death. So what are you afraid of? You know what I mean? Like people are going to judge you or like, what? It's okay. It's okay to recognize how you feel about the context you're in, but is there anything that we actually have to fear? No. We're actually completely free to be ourselves. The reason I say that is because our true self is love and joy. So is there actually a reason you can't be love and joy here? Not actually. Are there very deep, apparently obvious, loud, screaming reasons why you can't be your full self? Sure, those happen. But are they fundamentally real? No. So you're allowed to explore that and to liberate yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, this is great stuff. I could have probably about another 3 hours for this
Yeah.
conversation, really. This is my jam.
Me too.
I feel it. I feel it in you.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
both of you have
Yeah.
strong, noticeable colors.
Mm.
Thank you for the work you're doing.
Oh my gosh. Thank
Christian,
you.
thank you so much for joining us and for shining your light into this community. Yeah, bless.
Thank you for being present here.
Thank you for stepping into this space with us, and if you feel nourished or inspired by the Veil Between Lives, please subscribe, like, share, comment, or leave a review. It helps these conversations reach the souls meant to find them.
Thank you guys both so much. I give you both a huge hug. And everybody who's listening today, huge hug. We
Yes.
can do it. Let's do it, guys.
Let's do
Let's do
it.
it!
We are
Let's do
here.
it.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. We'll have information about how to connect with you in the show notes for anybody that's
Okay.
interested in hearing
Thank
more
you.
about Christian Sundberg's perspective. And yes, again, we're so honored. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.